Ladies and gentlemen, in a world that constantly demands our attention, opinions, and reactions, there is immense strength in choosing silence and in focusing inward. We live in a time where speaking out is glorified, where being seen is often mistaken for being successful. But let me tell you this, true growth, real confidence, and lasting peace are built quietly in the background when no one is looking. Focusing on yourself is not selfish. It's essential. It's about knowing your worth without constantly seeking approval. It's about setting boundaries and walking away from chaos without needing to explain yourself. Silence is not weakness. In fact, silence is often the loudest response. It shows maturity, discipline, and control. Some battles are not worth fighting, and some people are not worth your words. Let your silence confuse them. Let it protect you. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Protect your peace. Every moment you spend explaining, proving, or defending yourself is time stolen from your growth. Redirect that energy. Use it to sharpen your mind, strengthen your spirit, and build the future you envision. Your transformation does not need to be announced. Just move differently. Level up silently. And when it's time, let your success do the talking. Because at the end of the day, it's not about noise. It's about results. It's about becoming so grounded in who you are that nothing can shake your focus. Not words, not opinions, not drama. So I leave you with this. Stop chasing recognition. Start chasing discipline. Protect your peace. Focus on yourself and stay silent. In life, we're often taught to look outward, to compete, to seek approval from others before we ever seek understanding from ourselves. From a young age, we're told to watch what others are doing, to measure our lives against timelines that don't belong to us, and to seek validation in the eyes of people who may never truly see us. But real change, real lasting, powerful growth doesn't begin out there, it begins within. That's why the first and most important step on any journey is this. Focus on yourself. Self-focus doesn't mean being selfish. It means being intentional. It means choosing to look inward and ask, what do I need right now? What am I building? Who am I becoming? It means taking your energy back from distractions, drama, and expectations and reinvesting it in your own development. It's about prioritizing your mental clarity, your emotional stability, your physical health, and your spiritual grounding. When you start focusing on yourself, something incredible happens. You stop waiting for people to choose you, to see you, to appreciate you. You begin to realize that you are enough, not because someone else says so, but because you finally believe it for yourself. You stop apologizing for taking up space. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You stop handing over your peace to people who wouldn't even know what to do with it. Focusing on yourself means understanding your worth and walking in it. It means taking the time to reflect, to heal, to learn, and to grow without feeling the need to post about it, explain it, or make it palatable for others. It means understanding that not everyone will understand your journey, and that's okay. They're not meant to. The truth is, some people will only support the version of you that stays quiet, that stays small, that stays where they left you. But your job is not to stay the same for their comfort. Your job is to evolve for your own good. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Growth always is. Choosing yourself in a world that constantly pulls you in every direction is an act of courage. You will have to walk away from things that once felt familiar. You will have to say no when you used to say yes. You will disappoint people who benefited from your lack of boundaries. But every time you choose yourself, you're teaching the world how to treat you. You're rewriting your story. You're reclaiming your time, your energy, your purpose. So if you ever feel lost, overwhelmed, or distracted by the noise around you, bring your attention back home to yourself. Because the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you build with you. There is a misunderstood strength in this world, one that isn't loud, doesn't beg for attention, and never needs to shout to be heard. That strength is silence. We've been conditioned to think that having the last word means we've won, that defending ourselves means we're strong, that speaking up, clapping back, or constantly explaining is necessary in order to be respected. But the truth is, there's nothing louder than a composed, quiet presence in a chaotic room. There is power in choosing not to react. There is peace in deciding not to respond. And there is wisdom in understanding that not everything and not everyone deserves your words. Silence doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've evolved beyond the need to prove anything. You no longer move from ego, you move with intention. You don't speak to be heard, you speak to be understood, and only when it truly matters. Because you've learned that most of the time, noise is just distraction, and drama is just bait. When you're silent, you're listening, you're observing, you're protecting your energy. And you're giving yourself the chance to respond with clarity instead of reacting from emotion. Silence is your shield. It gives you space to choose your battles wisely. Because not every insult needs a reply. Not every challenge deserves your effort. And not every person is worth your breath. People often mistake silence for submission, but make no mistake. The silent ones are often the strongest. They are not afraid to be misunderstood because they are no longer slaves to perception. They are not easily provoked because they are not driven by insecurity. They understand the power of restraint. They are not interested in proving the truth. They are becoming the truth. They understand that the real flex is inner peace. That control is not shouting louder, it's being unshaken when others try to shake you. And sometimes silence is the only response that truly speaks. Let it echo. Let it create discomfort. Let it say what words cannot. Because when you refuse to engage in the chaos, when you stay grounded while others spin in circles, you reclaim your power. You show that your energy is not free, that your peace is not cheap, and that your focus cannot be bought by noise. So when you're tempted to explain yourself, to defend your path, to argue with someone who's already made up their mind, pause, breathe, and remember this: silence isn't surrender, silence is strategy. It's the mark of someone who knows exactly who they are and no longer needs anyone to confirm it. We live in a time where everything is shared. Every success, every step, every moment of progress is broadcast, documented, and placed on display. There's an unspoken pressure to constantly update the world about what we're doing, who we're becoming, and how far we've come. But the truth is, the most meaningful, most transformative growth does not happen in the spotlight. It happens in silence, in privacy, in solitude. Real growth is not glamorous. It's messy. It's uncomfortable. It's deeply personal. It's not something that needs to be posted or announced. It's something that unfolds quietly behind closed doors when no one else is watching. Growth is what happens when you choose discipline over distraction, healing over hiding, and depth over display. And those choices are often made in private, far away from the noise and opinions of others. When you grow in private, you free yourself from the weight of performance. You stop trying to meet expectations or timelines that don't belong to you. You stop shaping your progress to fit someone else's narrative. You learn to move for yourself. You learn to evolve without applause. You learn that you don't owe the world a play-by-play of your journey, because it's your journey, and not everyone deserves front row seats. Privacy gives you the space to fail without judgment, to start over without shame, and to reinvent yourself without interference. It protects your vision while it's still fragile, because the early stages of growth are like a seed. They need darkness, quiet, and care. Too much exposure too soon can kill something that was meant to bloom. So instead of rushing to prove something, allow yourself the sacred space to become something. When you keep your growth private, you also protect your peace. You don't open yourself up to unnecessary opinions, doubts, or distractions. You stop giving people the chance to question your path or plant seeds of insecurity. Because let's face it, some people don't want to see you grow. Some want to slow you down, keep you small, or feed their curiosity, not your spirit. They don't want to support your progress. They just want a front row seat to it. But when you grow in silence, you give yourself the gift of alignment. You learn to trust yourself. You learn to move with intention. You learn that the most powerful changes are the ones that don't need to be announced. They're felt. They're seen when you reemerge stronger, clearer, and more grounded than ever before. So don't be afraid to disappear for a while. Don't be afraid to go quiet, to pull back, to say less. You are not lost. You are growing quietly, privately, powerfully. One of the most powerful lessons you will ever learn is this: your energy is your currency. How you spend it determines your peace, your growth, your focus, and ultimately your future. Yet so many people walk through life leaking energy, pouring it into things, people, and situations that give nothing back. They fight battles that aren't theirs. They respond to provocation that doesn't deserve their attention. They invest in relationships that drain instead of nourish. And then they wonder why they feel scattered, lost. Energy is not infinite. Every day you wake up with a limited supply, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And where that energy goes shapes everything about your day and your direction. That's why energy preservation is not just self-care. It's survival. It's clarity. It's power. You don't need to show up to every argument you're invited to. You don't need to entertain every opinion about your life. Not every conflict is yours to solve. Not every comment is yours to correct. And not every person is yours to fix. The moment you start realizing that your energy is sacred, you begin to make different decisions. You stop wasting your time trying to convince people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop begging for closure from people who benefit from your confusion. You stop revisiting situations that already showed you their truth. Preserving your energy means choosing your peace over your pride. It means walking away even when you could have win just to protect your emotional space. It means letting people think what they want, say what they want. Because their version of you is not your responsibility to correct. What is your responsibility? Your responsibility is your focus, your vision, and your well-being. And the reality is some people thrive on chaos. They poke, provoke, and pull you into emotional storms because they know what drains you. Don't give them the satisfaction. Don't hand over your power just to prove you're right. Protecting your energy often looks like doing nothing, like not responding, not reacting, not engaging. And that's hard, especially when your instinct is to defend yourself, to explain, to fight back. But ask yourself, is it worth the cost? Is it worth the emotional toll? The distraction? The delay? Energy preservation is about being selective, not guarded, but intentional. It's about recognizing who truly adds to your life and who only takes. It's about giving yourself permission to rest, to unplug, to disconnect from the noise so you can reconnect with your purpose. Because the more energy you waste on the wrong things, the less you have for the right ones. There is strength in restraint. There is wisdom in walking away. And there is power in silence when your peace is at stake. You do not have to attend every emotional fire that someone else sets. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is no move at all. Not out of weakness, but out of deep, unwavering self-respect. We live in a world where everyone is talking, explaining their plans, announcing their goals, making declarations about what they're going to do next. But when the noise dies down and the spotlight fades, it's not the words that remain, it's the results. And that's why one of the most powerful choices you can make is to stop talking about it and just become it. Let results speak. Let actions echo louder than explanations ever could. Because the truth is, real power doesn't need an announcement. Real focus doesn't seek applause. When you are truly locked in, when you are building something meaningful, something lasting, you don't have time to talk about it. You're too busy becoming it. You don't need to tell people what you're working on. You don't have to convince them to believe in your vision. You don't need their approval, their permission, or their understanding. None of that is required to succeed. And often, when you talk too much about what you're planning to do, you give people the opportunity to inject doubt, fear, or distraction into your path. But when you keep your head down and your mouth closed, when you let your progress be your response, your silence becomes your shield, and your results become undeniable. Let your actions introduce you. Let your consistency define you. Let your transformation speak volumes without ever having to open your mouth. Because at the end of the day, no one can argue with results. People may doubt your intentions. They may question your motives. They may talk down your ideas. But when you show up, deliver, and rise, when they see what you've built, how you've grown, what you've overcome, they can't deny the evidence. And here's the truth. People watch. Even when they pretend not to. Even when they act uninterested or unimpressed. They watch. They see your discipline. They notice your glow up. They recognize your elevation, whether they ever acknowledge it out loud or not. So stop wasting your breath trying to prove something to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Just move differently. Just grow. Just execute. Let them talk while you work. Let them assume while you build. Let them guess while you transform. Because one day the same people who doubted you will be asking how you did it. And you won't even need to say a word. They'll see it in your results, in your presence, in your presence, in your peace. Results remove all doubt. They quiet all criticism. They replace arguments with evidence. So while others are busy showing off, stay busy showing up. While they're broadcasting their plans, you keep building quietly. Keep sharpening, keep rising, keep moving. Because when your actions are loud enough, your silence becomes unshakable. There comes a point in your journey where peace becomes more valuable than being right, where silence becomes more satisfying than getting the last word, where keeping your spirit intact is more important than proving your point. That's when you begin to understand the true meaning of choosing peace over proving. We are taught to defend ourselves, to explain our choices, to prove our worth, to justify our decisions to people who were never meant to understand us in the first place. But constantly needing to prove something to others, to the world, even to yourself becomes exhausting. It's a cycle that keeps you stuck in seeking rather than settling. Seeking approval, seeking validation, seeking to be heard by those who never really listened in the first place. But when you start prioritizing your peace, everything shifts. You realize that not every misunderstanding requires clarification. Not every insult deserves a comeback. Not every opinion needs a response. You understand that peace isn't found by controlling what others think. It's found in releasing the need to control anything outside of yourself. There's nothing more liberating than walking away from a situation without the need to be right. There's power in saying, I don't need to win this. I just need to protect my energy. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Because when you're truly at peace with who you are, you don't chase recognition. You don't beg to be seen. You stop proving because you know your value doesn't fluctuate based on someone else's inability to see it. Choosing peace over proving means accepting that some people will misunderstand you no matter what you say. Some people will misjudge you no matter how much truth you offer. And some people will twist your silence, your growth, or your boundaries into something negative. Let them. That's their lens, not your truth. You don't have to interrupt your healing to correct their perception. Let your peace be the proof that you're moving in the right direction. And let's be honest, constantly proving yourself is not only exhausting, it's often a distraction. It pulls you out of alignment. It keeps you engaged in unnecessary battles. It places your attention on people who have no impact on your purpose. Could be building, growing, creating, resting, but instead you're stuck in the loop of explanation. And for what? For who? The ones who truly matter never needed convincing to begin with. When you start choosing peace, you learn to walk away from noise. You stop over-explaining, you stop performing. You stop bending yourself into someone else's expectations. You let people think what they want to think, and you let yourself be free of their narratives. That's the difference between living to impress and living in peace. One drains you, the other sustains you. Peace is the power to stay grounded when everything around you wants to pull you into chaos. It's the maturity to know that not all closure is verbal, and not all validation is external. It's the quiet confidence of someone who knows who they are, where they're going, and what they refuse to lose on the way there. So let them wonder what you're thinking. Let them question your silence. Let them misread your distance. Because they don't need to understand. This season isn't about showing up for them. It's about showing up for you. You've learned to focus inward, to find strength in silence, to grow where no one's watching. You've learned to protect your energy, let your actions speak, and choose peace over pride. That's not a weakness, it's evolution. You're not here to perform, you're not here to prove, you're here to become. And becoming doesn't require noise, so move in silence. Build in private, heal in peace. Let your life, not your words, be the response. Because the loudest thing about you will be the way you rise without ever needing to shout.